Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. Thank y'all, everybody, for staying with us. We appreciate you staying with us. The flagship show, Legacy Internet Radio. Call us at 804-402-2893 to be a part of tonight's discussion. We appreciate you folks sticking with us. A lot, is going on, and we like to have a little bit of fun and everything, and we had a lot of fun in the last segment, and we'll continue to have fun throughout the show tonight. But the next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is what happened in McKinney, Texas over the weekend. Basically, I mean, it's not a lot of discourse with regards to the story. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. Many of us have seen the video. I've seen the video. If you have not seen the video, I encourage you to go on Google. You go online, you find the video of the pool party that happened in a private community or a gated community or homeowners association community. I'm getting this article from thegrio.com, but you can find it anywhere. It's all over the web. And the pool party video, millions have already seen it. It's a 14-year-old or 15-year-old girl. She's at the center of the horror. Has obviously come forward recently, I should say, to share her experience. Dejaria Becton. She's the young girl that can be seen in the video being taken down by a McKinney, Texas police officer. She has given an interview. She's obviously been given that permission by her parents. She said, quote, "He grabbed me and twisted my arm on my back and shoved me in the grass and started pulling the back of my braids." This is what Becton told Fox 4 News. Quote, "I was telling him to get off me because my back was hurting so bad." Police were initially called to the area to respond to reports of a disturbance involving young teens who didn't have permission to be at a residential pool and didn't live in the area. According to police, some members of the group did not follow orders, and officers and McKinney Mayor Brian Longmiller, released the following statement on the incident, saying, quote, "Having seen the YouTube video, I am disturbed and concerned by the incident and actions depicted in the video. Our expectation as City Council is that our police department and other departments will act professionally and with appropriate restraint relative to the situation they are faced with. Our city management and police chief are investigating the situation as required and have faith they will conclude the investigation expeditiously and take appropriate action. We will continue to monitor the situation through our city manager's office and continue to work with community leaders and follow this investigative progress," end quote. Same bullshit they always give you as far as the company line with regards to how they're going to act. They ain't going to come right out and say that the officer was acting a damn fool. They're not going to do that because it wouldn't be appropriate to do that. They would much prefer to kind of give you we're going to view the video. We're going to talk to all the people who were there. They're going to go through all of that before they say anything. I would expect that. Tony, you've seen the video. I know you have. We've talked about it offline. You saw this police officer who basically took a 14-year-old girl, grabbed her by her hair, threw her to the ground, stuck his knee in her back, while her friends instinctively said, "Yo, what you doing to the girl?" He pulled his gun on them and told them to back off. Hey, look, I always say that we should police with common sense, but I've been told that I'm tripping because police have more authority than I think that they should have. What do you think about this situation?
I always tell my son to, of course, follow the rules. Rules inside our house, outside of our house, which is the law. Always set personal boundaries. To know his rights and to always be respectful. When I saw this video and saw what happened to these children, I would have been in jail. I would have been in jail because I would have been that mama that went down to the precinct and acted a donkey with a big old ass.
That's jackass, y'all.
That's a nice way to say it there, yeah. Tony.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely unreal. I mean, these are children. Two, the way he like just totally, the words that come to mind, just bum rush this girl was unreal. It was unnecessary. And you're walking around waving a gun with all these kids there. Like, it just, I don't know. It's like every week there's something. It's more intense. It's more severe than, more extreme than the week before. And like, it just got to stop, because when it comes to the point where like none of our kids are safe, and it's scary. But as a parent, I'm going to do what I have to do to protect for and stand up for my child. So, like I said, I'd be in jail. That's a sentence I would serve.
Police telling us bump your kids. Honestly, like when I saw the way that, first of all, he had no discernment or understanding of him being a cop with a weapon, and he's at a pool party with a bunch of teenagers. Now, what took it to the next level, and I mean, we living in 2015, but we still got to say this. White cop pulls up to a black pool party. He sees all these black kids that's, wild. They was literally wilding out, and he panicked, and how many cops did they call out, Mark? Do you know? There's like 12. 12. Like, he panicked, called for backup, then they called for more backup. It's like, I used to always say this on here at Legacy Internet Radio. What is up with all the fear? Especially, I don't understand how you could have so much fear, but you the one with the weapon. I'm talking about police. And that's go for black police, Puerto Rican police, white police, it don't matter. But what is up with all this fear when you the one with the weapon? And you going to a pool party with a bunch of kids? It could have been, honestly, it doesn't matter the kid, because I have a lot of nieces and nieces and women in my family. And if that was my niece or my daughter or something, I'd have been just like Tony. But that just to take it a step beyond the pale here is, what is up with the cops and this fear? A fear of what? You got the gun. Officer
Eric Casebolt. Mm-hmm. He, of course, now is being interviewed by Internal Affairs, Amber. They were called out 7:15 on Friday to respond to the disturbance at the Craig Ranch Community North Pool in the Dallas area. Of course, they had several calls that had come in. There was a video recorded by one attendee of the party that showed that the officer was in fact wrestling that 14-year-old girl down. Brandon Brooks, who shot the video on his phone, said he found out about the party on Twitter. He was leaving the pool with his friend when he heard of the fight outside. Brooks said the fight was over when cops arrived, but they started chasing people and throwing them to the ground. I will add that when I saw the video, there was an older white woman arguing with a black person outside of the pool that seemed to be unrelated to the young girl who was thrown down to the ground. And the pool party was at a homeowner association pool. And so when the disturbance call was called in, it was called in by residents of the neighborhood who were not the ones who actually invited the kids. It was someone else who invited the kids. And I guess the people that called the cops was not happy that all those kids were there. Amber, knowing what you know about the story, what's your comment?
It's almost like, unfortunately, it's not surprising. You know what I mean? Like the story, it's not surprising. It's like all too many I've heard last week, the week before that, next week is going to be something else. And at the end of the day, man, it's all this. It's the same thing. It's always the same thing. You know what I mean? And I understand what she was saying. Like, you tell your son, you try to protect him, and the reality of the situation is you can't protect your kids. You can't protect yourself out here, And I mean, it's turned into for lack of a better word, it's turned into a complete and utter race war. And it's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better, because people get tired of being pushed around. People get tired of not being heard. And it's just like, think back to George Orwell's novel, The Animal Farm. It's like all animals are created equal, but some animals are more equal than others. It's, it's one of those things. And eventually the oppressees are going to get tired of being oppressed, and they're going to rise up, and it's going to, eventually people are going to be heard. People are going to get tired of calling and protesting and things like that. Just like remember a few years ago over in Egypt, when they got tired of their president, the entire country stood up and said, get him out. The entire country stood up and rioted. and people think that what happened in Ferguson was bad. People think that what happened up in Baltimore is bad. You wait until enough people get upset. I don't even watch the news anymore because it's depressing. Because at the end of the day, what's one person gonna do about it? You know, like I try my, you know, I get stuck in between wanting to change the world and realizing that's
a lot of work. It's
like,
a lot of work.
How do you change the world? How do you change the world when you can't? It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Because what are we gonna do about that? What are you gonna do? I mean, as a parent, if that had been your child,
and you don't have
you exactly. I mean, you would have gone down there and been in jail. You're absolutely right.
Yep,
and then your child is in the system. Okay,
right next
and you would have been they would have been just like this lady that was playing on the interview before. As you get sucked up in the system, you can't do anything about it. All you can do is be quiet and hope that Henry Walker ain't sitting next to you, drawing attention over to you. Get him up.
You know, the reality is, I actually agree with you, Amber. That's why.
No, I just can't figure it. A grown man pinning down this child.
Yeah, I mean, we watched the video. We saw him throw her down by the hair.
I mean, I used to have enough hate that I could see, like, not to justify what he's doing, but I used to say this again all the time on Legacy. I play poker still with a whole bunch of cops locally in the counties and the city of Richmond, and I'm a brother. Other brothers are there, and they will honestly, openly, and these are peers. These are Gen Xers. These are not old fogey, good old boys or no millennials. These are guys that are our age, sitting there talking about what they do just to get for kicks. You know, at traffic stops, what to do, what things can do to be triggered, and they have a lot of stresses. These are all excuses because I shoot down every argument with them when they come in with that BS. But you know, I still go back to where is the fear coming from when you have the gun? And let's say they will say, well, we don't know if you have a gun. Well, when it's been assessed that there is no potential danger to you, you're just scared of a mob full of colored teenagers.
Do you really think it's fear?
Oh, it's total fear.
I don't know if it's
a gun is an extension of a person's insecure feeling. Like I don't own a weapon.
What fear could you have with this? Was she 15, 16, 14-year-old girl? That you could obviously overpower.
I'm trying to put myself in the mind of that copper, and the fear he had was. It's probably him and his partner. He got called in. He don't know what the situation is at the pool party. He goes and sees a whole bunch of Negroes at this pool party, and they wilding. It's a fight. Now he thinking they might wild out on him, cause he the white copper and he got guilt. He know what him and the people that look like him do historically. So he says, okay, I got to do whatever I can to make sure that they don't start wilding out on me, whether it's a 14, 15-year-old girl or whether it's a 28-year-old man or it's a kid with a hoodie on. It doesn't matter. I'm pulling my gun out. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to survive. My point is how did he get to that irrational thought? Because if I walk into a situation where I'm thinking, like, remember a couple weeks ago there was kids fighting in a Waffle House in Richmond, or in Brooklyn there was some kids wilding out at McDonald's in Brooklyn, and one of the dudes came in and broke it up, and they wore his can I say ass? They wore his butt out.
Shit, yeah.
Oh, my bad. You know, I'm doing real well with the 4-letter words, bro. But you know, they wore
let me
the
not
man,
give you too much.
Right. Yeah, that's too much for me. But they wore the brother out and gave him a good mud stomping, all because he was trying to do the right thing. And that was a brother in Brooklyn. So you can imagine what a cop would think if he's pulling up into a mob and he sees that, he's innately got that. And that's my point I'm trying to make, is that cops innately have that fear, even though you got the badge, and that's what we got to work against. Go ahead.
Well, and that's always been the case, though, is that they've always tried to control us with the violence because they know our strength. So that fear for them has gone back just as far as our oppression has gone.
True.
Because they know what we are capable of. It's just a matter of time, like Amber said, when we get sick and tired of it, we all come together and we actually do something about it. And that is why they are afraid.
No, I mean, yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? They know exactly how powerful we are. And if we knew how powerful we are, too bad. I mean, because for real, if you want black folks to believe something, you better send somebody rich or white to tell them, because black folks don't listen to black folks.
I've been saying
and that's you know what I'm saying? And that's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah. Here's my deal with it, Amber and crew. If black folk was really as violent and dangerous as white folk thought that we were,
we'd have been.
Then there wouldn't be no white folk,
right? That's
just true. Straight up. If we was really like y'all think we are, it wouldn't be none of y'all. Seriously, because we would have took y'all out.
Yep.
Straight up after the shit we've been through
Savages.
in this country historically. You know, you ever sit back and you wonder why the Black Panther Party that only lasted less than 10 years was taken out and eradicated by the government, but the Ku Klux Klan stands strong and firm to this day? You ever think about that for a second? Like, just think about that. We don't have to discuss it, but just put your brain on that for a second. I mean, this is the reality of the country that we live in. And the reality is white folk don't like to hear black people talking strong. No. And on this show, ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We don't half step. We're going to make you uncomfortable. We're going to talk about religion. We're going to talk about race. We're going to talk about sexuality. And if you don't like it, then you're probably listening to the wrong show. You know, I've been told that you probably don't like it. You know, I've been told that you probably shouldn't say things like that. You turn off listeners. But the truth is, anybody that's listening to this show already know what you're coming for. Yeah. You know, so don't half step when it comes to that. And so, I mean, when I look at the police officer who attacked this young girl like this, you know, one of the things that I've been very strong on is that we have very little common sense in our policing. You know, if we're to respect the police officers, if we're respecting their authority, if we're respecting their position, and we're to assume that they're going to be right and righteous and do the right thing, then by numbers, you need to understand and respect the fact that we as black people ain't all criminals. You know what I mean? Don't roll up on me like you expect me to be, you know, a criminal and negative if you expect that I'm not going to look at you like, yo. You know what I mean? You're going to be that cop from Menace to Society? You think you tough. No, that's not Menace. Is that Boys in the Hood? That's Boys in the Hood.
When he rolled up on,
I mean, so,
not Tay Diggs. What was that?
You know, the truth is, man, we need to have an open mind with regards to how we relate to each other. But if you in authority, you're trained. So you should know better.
True.
And there's no common sense. There is no common sense in the video that I saw with that officer grabbing that little girl and throwing her to the ground and putting his knee in the back, regardless of what anybody was doing around him. Because if you watched, he was fussing with her. She's fussing back with him. He grabbed her. She snatched away. He got in his feelings because she snatched away. And so he had to win the fight by grabbing her, throwing her down, and making sure that the world knew that he was in control.
Fox and Friends would say, well, don't be combative with the police.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean don't be combative with the police? If somebody is rolling on, I don't care if you have a uniform on, because the respect is out the window, especially if I'm not doing anything wrong, and you just roll up on me and start that's assault.
Grabbing
you
me
just grabbing me.
I mean, we talked last week about the pregnant lady who in California who had a minor traffic issue with the white woman that wasn't even there anymore, right. And because she didn't want to give her name, she ended up thrown down on the ground on her pregnant stomach, you know, and arrested. Now, you can argue she should have given a name. I can dig that. But at the end of the day, did her not wanting to give her name warrant her being assaulted the way she was assaulted? Again, don't give me this just answer the question and everything would go right for you, because this ain't martial law. You know what I'm saying? This is not martial law at all. And there is no common sense in policing. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy. Internet. Radio, we appreciate it. I got Jay Grizzy, I got Amber, I got SY, and I got Miss Tony, and my girl Pandora is in the room. We appreciate everybody who is listening to us. We're going to take a turn and get off this McKinney before I get too crazy and they really start listening and tapping my shit. Listen, this next one I want to get into, and I want the moms on this one first. So SY, you up, and then Tony. We did a story about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, of the young boy who wilded out. Pops got mad. Pops put him in a barber's chair and gave him the old man George Jefferson haircut. You remember that story we did, SY?
Yeah.
Well, this one I'm getting from WTVR, and it's about a girl. She's 13 years old. Her dad posted a video about her. She's from Washington, Tacoma, Washington. She got upset because dad posted a video of her fussing at her about her cutting her hair. She cut her hair. And once it went on the internet, and she got so upset that she ended up committing suicide behind this. Suicide came after a 15-second video showing her father questioning her after cutting her hair as punishment for the behavior. The consequences are getting messed up, the father said for the video as he panned from his daughter's face to a pile of hair lying at her feet. Quote, "Man, you lost all the beautiful hair. Was it worth it?" She said no. He said, "How many times did I warn you?" She said twice. While many have criticized the father online, police said that he didn't upload the video and that it wasn't meant to be published. Quote, "She was a 13-year-old that made some poor choices, meaning that she didn't have to kill herself." This is what Tacoma Public Information Officer Loretta Kuhl told the New York Daily News. Police believe an unidentified third party uploaded the video thinking that it would help. While her father may have intended the video to be a personal matter for his daughter's eyes only, her suicide has prompted a larger debate over the public punishments that can haunt children online even years after they broke the rules. That's why.
I'm confused. All right. So daddy confronted her because she cut her hair.
Yes.
He cut her hair off. I'm not listening.
It doesn't say why he cut, what her behavior was, but that was her punishment.
Oh, so that's why he asked her if it was worth it. So he totally broke her self-esteem. He totally broke her self-esteem. And I believe that he most likely did upload this video. This is what dads do, parents do nowadays to our kids to make a point. This is what they do to us. You know, you cut your son's hair off and then you post him so he can be publicly embarrassed. That'll teach you a lesson. You're never to do it again. Now you go, you cut her hair off, you make this video. Of course you uploaded it. There's no third party. Of course you uploaded it. In your attempt to continue the punishment to her, you broke her self-esteem and she couldn't deal with it. So great going, Dad. You're a grade A mother freaker.
Tony?
Great going.
Tony?
Let me just say that I've been that parent who took my son to the barbershop and cut all his hair off because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. I did not post photos all over the internet, but I tell you what he did that prompted me to cut his hair, because to me that's freedom. That's a freedom. I let him wear his hair the way he wants to. He likes to have a lot of hair, you know, look a little, you know, kind of unkempt sometimes. That's a freedom. You don't get freedom when you don't do what I tell you to do. When you break my rules, you have to pay my consequences. So, yes, I've taken him to the barbershop, cut it all off. He was upset, but he never did it again. He understood why. We had a conversation. Do you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing? And we always have that conversation, no matter how small or how big the thing that he does, we always talk about it. And he knows that everything I do is out of love and it's a reason for it. But I would never publicly embarrass him just to get a point across to him that, hey, look, I'm the boss and, you know, this is what happens. You know, I would never do that. So I don't agree with, you know, the father or whomever uploaded the video. And it is very sad that, you know, that she committed suicide. And, you know, I always talk about mental health. Who knows what else is going on with her for her to, you know, jump off of a freaking bridge.
The way the story plays out, it plays out. Well, I guess the way the story is relayed publicly, it's relayed that, you know, she was bad. He retaliated by doing this video. And in the course of doing the video, she's so embarrassed that ended up causing her to commit suicide. Amber, when you hear a story about a young person that commits suicide based on embarrassment, and that embarrassment comes from a parent, I mean, how does it make you feel? What do you think when you hear something like that?
I mean, I think that's unfortunate, but I think suicide is a personal decision. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I mean, you know, we've all been embarrassed before. I mean, everybody's been embarrassed. I mean, I think it was messed up. I mean, he shouldn't have uploaded the video. That's humiliating. And I see more and more parents doing things like that, like to prove a point. But I mean, I would think, and I don't know, I don't have kids for a reason. But
so you've shared.
I don't have. I'm not dealing with this. Okay?
So you've shared.
I'm not dealing with this. Okay, but no, yeah, I don't have kids. But it just seems to me like it's a scary time to be a parent, because how do you discipline your kid? Like, if you can't, because you can't spank them, they don't listen to you when you talk to them. You embarrass them and they go and jump off a bridge. You know, I mean, what do you do? So I mean, I think that, you know, that's unfortunate that she ended up taking her life. But in totality, I think that. That 13 is old enough to know what you're doing.
She's
a
teenager.
Yeah.
She's a teenager, and she likes to have fun and look pretty and be cute. I'm sure she wears her little lip gloss and whatever else they wear these days. And he just killed her look.
She killed her look.
She's embarrassed. She's got to go to school. You have no idea how that probably hurt that kid.
I'm sure that I do know. How
I mean, damn, Dad.
I mean, we've all been embarrassed before. Our parents used to, all of our parents embarrassed us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just going to say...
Nothing. Oh, sorry, my bad.
No. I wasn't going to say no. What I was just going to say is, you know, you have to know your child, because you cannot discipline every child the same. And you know, as a mother of, you know, to know that your children are different. Yep. And so you have to know what your child can handle and what they can't handle. So I don't, you know, see the whole, you know, well, she's a kid, she's a teenager. You know, I've always told my son ever since, you know, he was old enough to understand and speak back to me that don't ever do anything unless you can deal with the consequences. And that's everything from not cleaning your room to stealing to killing somebody to whatever else you might think about doing that you're not supposed to do. So again, I'm not saying I'm not in agreement again with the father, you know, if he did upload the video, but you know, you got to discipline your children. Like, you can't be afraid of, oh, what will she do? Right. You know, everything. I love my son. He means the world to me, but he's my responsibility. I got to make sure that I do everything that I can, everything in my power to make sure that he is a wonderful, well-rounded, intelligent, positive contributor to society. And if that means me doing something to embarrass him, then darn it, I'm gonna do it.
I can dig it. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. I mean, me personally, I mean, when I hear the story, I mean, and there's, you know, obviously conflicting information on how it is, but what I will say is that I will never personally endorse publicly embarrassing a child on purpose if you're the parent. That's just something that I'm just not going to ever be okay with. I think there's got to be a better way of disciplining them and giving them the lesson. Like when we talked about the kid that got the old man haircut last week or whatever it was, you know, I thought the shit was funny as hell. Yeah. But at the end of the day, even if I think it's funny, I think it's not cool either. Like I made the analogy earlier. I mean, I could think NWA's music is great. Doesn't mean that I think that it needs to be listened to by the whole world, because I understand how hurtful it can be or harmful it can be. And so it's kind of the same thing here. And so not so much because this girl ended up killing herself behind it. I mean, I'm even going even before that. Don't embarrass your kid. If you want to discipline them at home. If you want to do something that would be hurtful or harm or upsetting to them that may embarrass them, keep it inside the house. But once we get outside the house, once people can see that you are the origin of the embarrassment for your own kid, that's to me when it crosses the line. Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. One last thing I want to get to before we get to the random section of the show that we'll have in the next segment is the. I slipped that in real quick, didn't I? I got this one from Lissa P. She sent this to me, and I was reviewing it, and I was like, "Wow, that's interesting." It's from thegrio.com, and it's about your memes. The memes, we all see memes. We all thought they were funny. I mean, the Denzel Washington, set of memes are probably amongst the funniest ones I think we've seen. We all saw, the black girl with the funny look on her face, and all the question marks that go up on her, memes. We know what they are. But your favorite meme that's coming around right now may actually be mocking a sick child. We've seen the Bruce Jenner memes as well. And we've all done it, you know, pass on a funny post, you know, featuring the face of a complete stranger. In the past few weeks, a picture of a young girl has quickly become one of the most popular memes in social media. The premise of the joke is that the child in the picture looks much older than her age and bears a resemblance to Shirley Brown or Loretta Devine, depending on who you think she looks like. Heavily circulated posts on a website called Famulous.com speculated the child in the picture may actually be 9-year-old Casey Barterwell. Barterwell is battling cancer and has been on the brink of homelessness several times due to medical bills. A support website in Casey's honor says the reports that the baby is her are not actually true, but it does kind of bring up the question of those of us who have seen, forwarded, liked, enjoyed, or in any kind of way continue the, I guess, public embarrassment of these people, including our famous people. What do we think about this? Amber, you up first. I'm guessing you've seen the memes, even if you haven't seen this one. You know what a meme is. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I think that I've seen that one. I've seen the little girl that you're talking about, and I think that it's all about the intent, honestly, because those get circulated so much that honestly, like if I would have, when I saw it, I didn't know that the little girl was sick. Like that's not why I was laughing at it. I wasn't laughing at it because I knew the little girl was an 8-year-old who was on the brink of homelessness, dying of cancer. I was laughing at it because they said it looked like Loretta Devine. And you know, and when I laugh at something like that, I'm not thinking, you know, like of who this person really is. I'm taking it in the intent in which it was forwarded. Now, the person that initially took the picture and initially made a joke out of it, shame on them. Because at the end of the, I don't think it's funny to make fun of people for something that they can't help. Everything else is fair game to me, and I think it's, you know, everything else is fair game and it's funny, or it can be. But, I mean, unfortunately, you know, there's a real person with a really, you know, unfortunate story behind that. But that's one of many.
Tony?
I'm with Amber. I mean, you know, with social media and technology being the way it is, you lose the authenticity very quickly. And, you know, I often even doubt, like, you know, stories like that when I hear, oh, you know, little Joshua is dying. And, you know, like, you just don't know what to believe anymore. And you don't, like, you know, like Amber said, you don't think about that. I see something that was funny. I laughed. I hollered. And yeah, I have shared, I hollered. And I have shared those. And, you know, it is not from a place of ugliness because I don't consider myself a mean and spiteful person, you know, but stuff is funny. And, like, some people need to, like, loosen up and laugh. Like, you know, yeah, some things are off limits, I believe. But something like that, you don't know where it came from. You know, nobody's going to stop and take the time. Like, honestly, how many people stopped and said, well, let me research and find out who this person is, you know, before I laugh at it or forward it on. I mean, it's just not the way that the world works. You know, everybody's going do their day to day. You know, you at work at your desk looking for something else to do, need a break. You're scrolling through Instagram, Facebook. You see something funny.
And laugh.
Yeah.
You know, I almost feel like the dumb kid in the room because I don't really focus on social media anymore. So when I look at this, you know, one, it doesn't look like Loretta Devine, but you know, it doesn't. Not in that picture, but
let me find you another.
See, that's not funny. But you know, if it's done, you know, if you do this and you call yourself making a joke, I don't know. I'm just not finding the funny. I'm not finding the funny.
I can dig it. I mean, I am not going to sit here and be the hypocrite and say that I disagree with Tony and Amber because, you know, the truth is, I mean, I have not only been guilty of liking and stuff, but I've actually forwarded it. I haven't done it in social media, you know, but amongst, you know, my personal friends and my, you know, text messages and stuff like that. Yo, you seen this? Like, I'm not personally the kind of dude that's going to be clicking on the Denzel link and putting it on my page because I think that's kind of whack. That's just me personally. But, you know, amongst, you know, my personal friends, I'll send you You know, like, yo, did you see how they got Denzel this week? You know, because the joint is kind of funny, you know, and even, you know, the baby, and I caught myself doing that as well. But when I saw this article that Lissa P sent me, I was like, wow, she's on to something. You know what I mean? We on to something. Like, do we have a greater duty to not forward? I mean, it's one thing when it's a grown person who got caught up in a bugged out picture like Denzel. Like, come on, man, you got caught up in a bugged out picture. Because the truth is, that shit's funny. It just is. It just is. And you in the public eye as an actor. But, you know, it does get a little bit different when it's a little kid. It's a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you find out about it. And then if you laugh at it, it makes you a bad person.
Right. But if
Like,
you
I'm not gonna laugh anymore.
but do we really want to laugh at a kid
Look,
even
that's
if
why
we
I'm
don't know
laughing.
their story?
That's why I'm laughing at shit.
And
You know
again,
the
I'm
little
not
girls.
even trying
No,
to. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. I'm really not. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite because I've done it and I've laughed.
Just like S.Y. laughing.
Yeah,
She
she's
can't
breaking
contain
herself
her.
up right now.
I mean,
Like she's losing it right now as we speak.
It's Amber.
I didn't say anything funny. We're
No,
talking
it's-
about this little
y'all,
girl.
she's making
Listen,
faces and everything.
Do I
I'm
sound
just
like I'm
laughing.
making faces?
Why
Did
she
you sound like
laughing?
one?
You think about, like I said, when it comes to
Sound like it.
life, you know, you gotta kind of lighten up a little. But think about most stuff. You listen to comedians, and it's not a lot of stuff that's off limits. You know, look at Gary Coleman. May he rest in peace. Like, that poor man was joked from the time he came out to the day till today. It hasn't stopped.
When Gary Coleman died.
A couple years ago.
That happened for real.
That's what
Y'all
I'm
was
talking
kidding.
But I mean, you know, and then I look at like who's looking at my pictures, laughing at me in my regular old, you know,
I know,
I'm
right?
thinking I'm cute selfie. You know? So
I'm probably floating around
such
as
is
a
life.
name.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll let you about that thinking you cute selfie.
That
Word.
is funny.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to be a hypocrite on the subject, but once I read the article, I do feel a little bit different about the kid. It's one thing when it's grown folk, and it's another thing about grown folk that already put themselves in the public eye, somebody like Denzel or something like that. But social media is a place where I can go onto a complete stranger's page and I can save their JPEG, and now I got their JPEG to do anything I want to do with it. And this person may not have put themselves in a position where they wanted to be ridiculed. Maybe they ain't no comic. Maybe they really thought that they was posing in their, I almost made fun of somebody. Maybe where they was posing. See, I stopped myself though, Amber. I stopped myself.
You had already thought it, and everybody knew where you was going with it. And that's why it's real distracting with both sets of those glasses on.
See, this is the first time you've seen it. We used to that nonsense.
I'm sick of this.
Yeah, man.
Like,
I'm so over her
I'm sick
right
of it.
now
No.
with 2 pairs of glasses. All right, y'all. Ain't no half
over there?
stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Dan Legacy and that radio. We're going to take a break. And when we
Is
come
this a
back,
random segment?
we're going to ask some random questions. And SY wilds out with random because she act crazy because we don't do it so often. And when my co-host hears that we're doing random, she gets so excited. And I will explain to the new listeners what random is on the other side. I got Tony, I got Amber, and I got my co-host SY and her baby Pandora. Be back.